News is the first draft of history. It is immediate and takes place in real time. Legends take longer to develop and are sometimes based on myth. This Fox News series looks at the truth behind the legend.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You think Mr. Crockett will be making it today? I don't think so. I think it'll be just like last time. Scared I'm gonna win. Spent too much time in the woods. Not enough time amongst civilized human beings. What's that? Davy Crockett.
Fitzgerald, you can read all day long about the people, but you still don't know how to be with the people. You're just a pawn for Jackson and a slanderer.
You tell him, Davy. You're with us, Mr. Crockett.
Fitzgerald, you called me a liar. Any man that calls me a liar is going to get a beating.
He's got a gun!
He's never gonna get away with this.
Oh, don't worry, folks. He's harmless. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous Davy Crockett.
On the North American plains, opportunity calls men of courage to chase the sun west into a new frontier. They would shape a nation, lay hold of their destiny, and birth a new mythology. But with the passing of time, every myth has its reckoning. David Stern Crockett, a true frontiersman, a backwoods hero from the Tennessee foothills. But behind every hero stands a man, and behind every legend lies the truth.
The legend of Davy Crockett is that of a folk hero of the western frontier. A wild man who wrestles bears and kills Indians. But the truth is, Davy Crockett is no simpleton. He's an ambitious man with political aspirations that take him to the nation's capital, where he serves his country as a United States congressman.
Wild and untamed, the Tennessee frontier is beyond the reach of all but the bravest and hardiest of men. Frontiersmen like David Crockett, daring, adventurous, and bold.
I knew that bear wanted to hug me, so I reckon here's its chance.
Why'd you put down your rifle?
Shoot, quarters are too close for old Betsy. Besides, I'm just as good with a knife. It was here that I began to distinguish myself as a hunter and to lay the foundation for my future greatness. Now, another time when I was just a cub, I can recall.
Crockett's a jokester. He's remarkably funny. And he's affable. People like him.
Be about 6 or 7 by the creek, running into another bear.
Well, Tennessee at the time was still the American frontier.
You got wild animals, you got fights, and it was in this world where there's no kind of solid established law that David Crockett, begins the process of becoming the myth.
David Crockett, a third-generation frontiersman, is born just 10 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. His father is a hero of the Revolutionary War.
David's father, John Crockett, is what's called an over-mountain man. Over-mountain men are settlers on the western side of the Appalachian Mountains. They oppose British rule and come east to join their fellow Americans to fight in the Revolutionary War. With such a father, it's no surprise that David Crockett becomes an American patriot. Contrary to legend, David Crockett never actually goes by Davy. Even as a child, he prefers David, the name given to him in honor of his dead grandfather, who was killed by Creek Indians.
Frontier life is a constant struggle, and the family farm bankrupts the Crockett's. To pay his debts, John is forced to make a difficult decision.
Well, here's my boy. His name's David. Shake his hand, boy.
Davy Crockett becomes what is known as a bound boy. It's really a form of indentured service to pay off a debt. It was slightly above being a slave. This had a significant impact on Crockett.
We shouldn't, as modern people, judge John Crockett too harshly. The role of children in the early 19th century was vastly different than it is now.
The work is grueling, but David makes the best of a difficult situation. He knows education is his best shot at escaping poverty, and later trades more work on the farm to pay for basic tutoring.
Boy, get back to work.
That's the only education Crockett ever had, but in that time, he says, I learned how to read, I learned how to write, and I learned how to cipher.
After a year working off his family's debt, David is finally granted his freedom and continues a practical education that will catapult him to great notoriety.
It's time for you to become a man.
It's a rite of passage, a tool men use to provide and protect. A symbol of independence and freedom, one Crockett grows to cherish.
Crockett would not have been anything without the Tennessee long rifle. It's not a military weapon. It is designed as a hunting weapon.
Crockett's reputation on the frontier as a skilled hunter with deadly aim earns him more than just admiration from his fellow riflemen.
He was intensely loyal. When he was out hunting, he would always share the meat of his hunts with neighbors or people in need.
In 1806, David marries a local girl named Polly Finley. They rent a farm and settle down. But like his father, Crockett struggles to feed his growing family.
I found that farming wasn't what it was cracked up to be. It was therefore more necessary that I should hunt to get along.
David is not only esteemed among the other hunters of the region, he's putting money in his pocket and food on the table.
Crockett trades on his hunting skills, keeping his family fed and out of debt. He now has status and respectability, and a life worth fighting for.
Now, one time in the dead of winter, I almost froze.
Crockett! Creek Indians attacked Fort Mims out Alabama way. 500 are dead.
During the War of 1812, Creek Indians attacked Fort Mims. The massacre leaves 500 men, women, and children dead, many of them trapped and burned alive.
If every man waited for his wife to be willing for him to go to war, we'd all be killed in our homes.
David Crockett has found his call to glory, but to answer it, he must risk his life and leave his family alone on the frontier.
Bye, son.
This is what men do at the time. This is how armies are built. Your wife, your children, your farm, your life all become secondary. The call to duty comes first.
The call to war sets Crockett's life on a course that will have him clinging to his ideals as firmly as he grips his musket.